get a lawyer when you are going through any kind of contracts, employment agreements, whatever. When you are in that situation, have confidence in what you know how to do.
People are really good at presenting themselves as awesome, like avoid these pitfalls. And they're like, oh, I need to talk to this guy because he knows all the pitfalls. And then he's never had a company like this before. Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown. And this is the Plumbing and HVAC Hustle podcast. And today I have Stephanie Postell from Anchor Heating and Air. Where are you guys out of, Stephanie?
We're in Charleston, South Carolina.
All right. And I really appreciate you being on today. Totally an interesting story.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're talking about starting a heating and air company with $2,000 after a partner fail, which I think both of these are going to be very interesting parts of this. I got to hear a little bit about this background. You know, where did you get started in the industry? And I guess what led you to starting your own company?
Yeah, well, I got started in the industry in 2012 when I met an owner who at that time really just had bought 3 companies that he was putting together, had joined a best practices group, and was looking for someone to help him implement those best practices within his business. And I had some background in that. I had run and owned my own business for about 10 years, did a lot of marketing, and I had been a teacher in my first career. So all of that kind of came together, and I felt like that it was a good job for me. So I went to work there, and after the first couple of years of being the person who did all the processes and implemented all the training with the technicians and the CSRs and install team, I became the operations manager. And so I was in that position for 7 years, grew that company all prior to COVID, of course, and great experience, learned so much. No regrets about that position. I loved it. I treated the company like it was my own. And I think I probably, in hindsight, probably outgrew the position. But I left there in 2019 and basically, was looking for what was next. And my husband and I actually, we weren't married yet, but we're together, and we got the opportunity to met a guy who wanted to invest in home services business, and we went into business with him, a brand new company from scratch. We actually got married in February, went on our honeymoon, and came home and opened that company right March of 20, right in the beginning of COVID, and had a great experience there. Yeah, I mean, little did we know, I've told the story many times, but we were coming back from our honeymoon, and we were in the airport, and I remember telling David, like, why are all these people wearing masks? They look so stupid. We had no idea, right, what was to come. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so we were actually looking for a company to buy. We had gone through a whole year of talking, vetting, planning, all of that kind of stuff, and really just decided we were going to do it from scratch. And so got started in March, and, did a great job. David and I have lived in Charleston our whole lives. And because we've had other businesses and I've been PTA mom for years and years, it was not easy, but we definitely had customers right from the beginning. And actually about 3 months in, we did come across a guy who owned a company, and he sold us his residential side. Which was about $400,000 in revenue. And so that certainly got us going a little bit quicker. We were able to hire 2 more technicians and a dispatcher and all of that. And so it was that, again, that was a great experience in 2020. Crazy year for all of that, but we did well. We did a little over $1 million that first year. So that was a great experience, learned a lot for sure. And then our second year, right at the end of our first year, beginning of our second year, we actually found another company, people that were looking to get out of the business. So we bought another company at that point. And by December of 21, we were working on 5 million in our first 2 years. So learned a ton.
Incredible.
And yeah, definitely. And we were the ones running the company, right? We did everything. And we, as partnerships always go, no matter how much you have things written down and blah, blah, blah. It was not going the way that we really wanted it to go. And we were going in to offer to buy the company, and he fired us on a Wednesday, a really rainy Wednesday. And we were like, what? Like, what just happened here? And in hindsight, we did not protect ourselves.
Did he give a reason?
Yeah, insubordination. That I had not returned an email fast enough. I think there was more to it, but it is what it is. But I think there's
wild move.
Yeah, there's always reasons for everything.
Yeah.
But because of that, we lost our ownership in the company. So literally we walked out with zero. Yeah. And again, we are very reflective.
That is so wild. So before we move on to the next part of the story, can you just say, like, if you felt like there was like a couple lessons that you got out of that might help other people avoid that type of situation?
Absolutely. I would say get a lawyer when you are going through any kind of contracts, employment agreements, whatever, when you are in that situation, because it is very important. I don't care if it's your family. I don't care if it's somebody that you've never met. When you are reading things yourself, you read them in the mindset that you are currently, right? And so we read our employment agreements. We read all of that stuff. Like, we're going to retire from here. Like, this is going to be the greatest thing. David and I knew what we were going to do, how hard we were going to work. We weren't going to fail. So we were like, this is a great deal, right? I mean, we have the support of someone else financially. We knew that we had the relationships and all of that, and the skills, the processes, all those things. So we were like, we're golden. This is great. Let me sign this, because I'm already running service calls, right? We're already putting in air conditioners in. So let me sign that paper and let me get on. And in hindsight, that was a mistake, because that email that I didn't return fast enough was then construed as insubordination and gave him grounds to fire us for cause, which then took back our ownership. So all personal responsibility, right? We weren't smart enough to think through the process, and we are workers, and we wanted to get going and run a great company. And we did. Like, literally, we had 25 employees. They loved where they worked. They were happy. They were all performing at a really high level. And came crashing down on a Wednesday morning. So the other thing I would say too,
how's that company doing now?
If I get the chance to buy them soon, I'll be
sorry.
to buy them.
Sorry, you're about to share another lesson that maybe you got from that experience, I think.
Yeah, no. I would say the other thing too is just have confidence in what you know how to do. I feel like there's so many smaller contractors, which I consult with lots of them for free. I'm kind of that resource out there because I'm happy to help. But I think there's so many people that think that, the money is the magic bullet. And most of the time it's just them and their knowledge. And you're scared because you don't know what the other side looks like. And David and I are a couple. Like I do my thing, he does his thing, and together it's awesome. But he had that no fear kind of attitude. Like we can do this. We can do this on our own. And he was right because of evidenced by where we are now. I think there was a lot of great value in us being at that company and having that experience. And I would say the other thing is get a mentor, right? If you don't have somebody that has been at a larger company and you don't know what that looks like, then get that person. We were very blessed in that we had already grown a company. We had both worked in this first company where we were, and going pre-COVID from 4 to 14 is like now going from 4 to 28. Price wise, right? We started at 25 employees then and left at 75 employees. I mean, that's a large company. So, and really we're there as I built a management team and as we added other trades. And so when we started, this last company, we already knew what our company was going to eventually look like because we've already been there. So I would say if you didn't have that experience, a mentor is certainly somebody or a group of people that are bigger than you that can say, here's what the next step looks like, because you might not really know. And you might have worked at a company that did grow, but maybe you were the technician or maybe you were a service manager. So you didn't know the ins and outs of everything. You only saw your one part. And I think that's great, but if you don't have that, really varied experience, you need somebody to kind of help you through it. So.
I think the scary part sometimes for contractors and also for myself, because I'm kind of bad. Sometimes I'll go a couple years without a coach. You know what I mean? I have a traction implementer now, which is kind of like our coach. It's really good. But for years I didn't. I worked at a company that's about the size, a little bit smaller than what we are now, which is like 31 people. And so now I'm like getting to the spot where I'm like, I don't know what goes on past here. and I wasn't really in management per se there. So I was a marketing technician or whatever. So, but the scary part sometimes I think for contractors is like, from what I hear is just like there's a lot of paid coach stuff.
Yeah.
And some of them are not as people are really good at presenting themselves as awesome. And they're not all like you. They don't all have a currently thriving, rapidly growing business. Some of them are just really good at presenting themselves. And they're like, avoid these pitfalls. And they're like, oh, I need to talk to this guy because he knows all the pitfalls. And then he's never had a company like this before.
There's no doubt that is out there, and having that discernment of who's good for what. And I would say, I've had some great coaches. I think the confidence that you have to get is to also know when you've outgrown that coach, or to know what your specific weaknesses are and find a coach that can help you with that. Because what I know about myself is that I'm a great operator. I can see processes. I can see what's coming. I can see if you want this, that's great, but that rolls out to 10 other things that have to be done in order to get this thing. So I struggle with somebody who tries to help me with processes because I'm pretty good at that. But the financial side, my operations experience was that I was fed all that financial information and I could analyze it, but I didn't always know what went into creating it. Right. And so we needed a financial coach really on that side to help us understand the numbers, to help us understand when nobody was buying, was it them or was it us? Right? What if you're giving all these quotes and nobody's bought anything? Well, you need to know what your numbers are so you can drop your prices if you need to, so you can get some work, because some work is better than no work as long as you're paying the bills. So I think that there's
Yeah.
so much about that when you are looking for a coach, is that you just have to be, very specific. I have not come across any coach that is great at all of it. And I'm
Mhm.
probably a more skeptical person that's like, you
Mhm.
get paid as long as I stay here, right? And so
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
really an incentive for me to outgrow you. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean that there are some great coaches out there, but I just think you have to know
Yeah.
what you need at the time. So that's certainly, and listen,
And if you
there.
can get a mentor that's doing it.
Absolutely. I honestly, because I've been a teacher, I have so many people, other contractors that will hit me up once a week, once every 2 weeks. Hey, I've gotten to this now. Now what? Like, well, have you done this? Have you thought about this? Have you done this? Okay, yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you. And then,
Mhm.
2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they're
Yeah.
like, okay, I closed that. I fixed that. Now what's next? And I love that.
Mhm.
I love being that
Yeah.
resource, for those people, because I know that there's just some simple wins when you're starting up that you can do that will make things so much easier. And I think another big thing on the startup side is a lot of people don't know when it's time to get help, and they don't,
Mhm.
they want to keep doing it themselves, thinking they can't afford it, not realizing how valuable they are in another position. And so when you bring in that office person, or you bring in another technician or a helper for install, you're going to be 10 times more productive, right? You're going to be able to bring in way more revenue because you've got that help. You think you're giving great customer service because you're the owner and you're answering the phone. I don't, how many are you missing? How many are you not returning? How many do you not return because you
Mhm.
don't have another body to go do the work? So I think that, those are things that
Mhm.
have somebody that you can consult with that's been through that and that can hold you accountable. Because I will tell you, anybody who has worked with me, I don't sugarcoat anything. So we're very
Mhm.
direct and right to the point, because I'm running my own business, right? And so I don't have time to waste time. So if I'm giving you my time, something better come from this. You better go implement what I tell you to
Yeah.
implement. You better go make some changes. You can ask them all. I
Yeah.
tell them I make $1,000 an hour. At least that's what I tell myself. So don't waste my money. So and
I
don't,
like that.
yeah, right. I mean, and I can name 10 businesses who are doing phenomenal, and you would know them on Facebook, because they're in the groups, they're engaging, they got their branding out there, they're doing great marketing. And it's honestly, I feel a little bit, it's because I was able to kind of get them over the hump right at the beginning, right? Like, go do this, go do that. And that's all you need sometimes. You just
Mhm.
need somebody to help you and just pour into you, because you don't know what to do.
Many homes suffer from inefficient HVAC systems due to leaky ducts, leading to uneven room temps, lost airflow, and higher energy costs. AeroSeal's innovative sealant technology targets and repairs leaks, improving airflow and efficiency. Increase your customer satisfaction, increase sales, and offer a unique market advantage. Become a leader in HVAC efficiency. aeroseal.com.
Well, let's get back to the storyline here. We're removed from this company.
Yeah.
What a
On a
terrifying
Wednesday.
time. Um, on a Wednesday of all days. And now, how much did you have in your bank account, and what did you guys do next?
Yeah. So on Wednesday, the pay period for the week before, had just ended. I think we got $300 each or something on Friday.
Yeah.
So that was a little scary. We were actually in the middle of about to close on our house that we were building. It was a crazy time, but we just, I mean, didn't have a choice, right? We were like, okay, well, now
You
what?
said that you maybe had like $2,000 in your bank account. I think I had 20,000, and I thought I was like,
Yeah.
I was terrified. 20,000, I was terrified. So 2,000, I imagine there's some fear here.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, like I said, David had been in the trades for 20 years, right? And David is a very hard worker. He has been an install manager. He's always worked and made a way. And so it was really at that point his strength that I was like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I'm going to go to work and I'll put in air conditioners. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so, we have a great network. We got the word out pretty quickly to our family and friends. This is what we were going to do. We are actually, there's more to just the $2,000. We didn't have a truck. We had my Tahoe, which was it was a great Tahoe, but it was close to Christmas. In that whole time, we were on the way to Christmas church and the transmission went out in the Tahoe. So we're like, what is the world telling us, right? So, but luckily, we right after Christmas, someone called and said, I have a friend who needs a new system and new ductwork, and they want you to come over and give them a quote. And so David went over and he quoted them, and we took the $2,000 we had and we bought the system and we bought the materials, had to pay cash, and we went and put that system in, got paid for that, took that money, went and bought the next one. So there was never any, big infusion of cash. We just took the money and we like I said, I got another job. He went to work doing air conditioning and putting them in, and we put all that money that we got back into the company. I will say the other part of it, though, that was an advantage and at least probably a mindset for us, is that we knew what we should be charging. So it didn't matter that we needed the work. What we knew is that if you were going to go get quoted from 3 other companies, we knew what the price should be. And so we charged not the highest, but not the cheapest, and right in the middle where we knew we were, we had some profit. And that's the difference for what most small contractors do when they, decide on Friday to jump out the truck from their employer and start their own business on Monday, is that they go in as the low price leader. And it takes forever to get traction. And we just didn't do that. We knew the level of service that we were providing. We knew the quality of the install that we were providing. And so we immediately, charged what the market rate was. And we kept that mindset the whole time. And that allowed us to, obviously we worked out of our home the first year, so we saved some money there. We put everything back into the company, and it just gave us a real advantage. So we ended up bringing on our daughter, who at the time was 19, and she was working at a hardware store. And I said, I'm working this job over here. I was dispatching at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, trying to do my other job. And I said, we're getting busy. I need some help. And she came in to help in the office. And on the third day, I said, well, you should probably go right along with your dad so that you know the pieces and the parts, and you know what air conditioning is, all that stuff. She got out in the field. She never came back. She said, I'm riding with Dad. I'm going to learn how to do air conditioning. And she's an installer for us. She's 21. She's precious, long blonde hair. She's a boss, and she just never came back in the office. So they're gonna have to find other help. But
that's awesome.
It really
cool.
Yeah, it is. We were able to hire a couple other technicians through that first year, and we did $1.4 million our first year in business, and so that certainly was helpful. Like I said, I had even started applying for an SBA loan, and by the time we got the loan, because people don't tell you that it takes 7 months to get an SBA loan, but by the time we got it, we didn't need it, and that was such a blessing too. Again, then we just had, we had some money that we could at least have as a backup if we needed it. So, but our company has continued to grow.
Awesome. And then you had the last couple of years?
Yeah. So that was our first year. Again, worked out of our home and all of that. Added some trucks. We also knew one thing that we were going to do absolutely is that we were going to be branded properly. I love marketing. That's my jam. Branding is everything that I've ever done. And we started with a great logo from the beginning. We chose Anchor not because we live on the coast, but because it was a God moment for us. My sister, right after all of the, getting fired and everything happened, she sent me a quote that was about being anchored in God, and that if we were anchored in God, we would be fine. And so that's where the name of our company came from. And so, as we were planning everything, we knew that we were going to go with Dan Antonelli and Kick Charge for our branding. So most of that first year, we drove around with white trucks, which to this day I can't stand, but we had to do it because we knew we were going to make the investment. And at the end of the year, we had our brand, and it's our favorite. Obviously, it's so us. I wear pearls. I've worn pearls every day since I was 14 years old. They are wrapped around our anchor. We have the Pearl Promise, how we do things. We have the Captain's Club for our membership agreements. It's all of the story about our company is tied up in this brand. And so that's been a huge part of our marketing and being able to share that with people. And so they really understand the value of us being local, of us being a husband and wife and family owned business, and really the values and standards that we have. So we got some great momentum from that. Obviously, we were our first truck. I think we were done at the end of our first year in December, and so that catapulted us, of course, into the second year. And we were able to bring on some more really great people. Continued to grow. We did close to 3 million. Our goal was 2.8 million, and we did 2.795, which always drives me crazy. I was this close. But we had a great second year, moved into a place, had our own warehouse, all of that kind of stuff. So continuing to grow. And then we did a small acquisition at the end of last year. And that's really been a game changer for us, being able to bring on a lot more people. So, keep in mind, we started it, David and I think we just hired our 25th employee. And we're into, right in the middle of our third year.
Incredible. And the acquisitions thing, the fact that you guys have kind of figured that out, it's a big move. And the fact that you've done that multiple times now, you know how to do it, you know how to integrate people.
For sure.
It's awesome. But what's the trick to not being buried with the rapid growth? I'm sure there's been hiccups. So what's the trick to not get stuck?
So I'm going to be very transparent, and I'm not sure that I know the answer to that question yet, because
okay.
We're in the middle of buried. I think the whole point really is that we've hired very experienced people the whole way through, and we've paid for that, and that's what we wanted because it's helped us build our online reputation. People in town know that they're getting really highly skilled people that come into their home. And David and I have continued to wear, multiple hats. And we're really we're at the point right now where we are actively looking for an install manager. I desperately need an assistant. So we're at that point where we are going to begin to grow our management team. Now we have a service manager. She is amazing. She does such a great job. She is loved by her technicians. She's a great supporter. She is she's fantastic. I very happily brought her on when I was the operations manager as a CSR in 2015. And she grew that department, worked at that same company. And then we were able to get back together at the end of last year. And she's our service manager here. Brought 5 technicians with her immediately because they love her and they followed her. So, I mean, we have these really great people, and it's time to continue to grow this. We have an amazing culture. We honestly, knock on wood, and a lot of preparation, though, we don't have a problem finding people to work here, because what we have created, we are attracting people who want to be a part of the vision and mission that we have. And I don't at all say that in a way to brag at all. I know it's difficult, but the people that we are looking for and what we believe that we are creating, when we find those people, it's very easy, to bring them on. So that's been not easy, right? But we are very careful about who we bring here because we protect what's already here. And this is a pretty great apple cart, and we're not looking to upset it at all. So,
hey there, are you a home service business owner that's tired of your answering service just kicking the can down the road? Well, we can help. Pink Collars will assign a dedicated, supported, and trained individual to answer your phones, emails, texts, and even more. Give us a call at 888-325-7465, or better yet, check us out online, www.pinkcolors.com.
Love to hear it. What are some of the highest leverage activities you've seen that help you feel confident in your growth? I know you're big on marketing. So what are some of like the high leverage activities that you guys do to create that lead flow?
I would think obviously the foundational basics. I have an amazing website. I have an amazing, company that does that for me, as well as, having great SEO.
You can shout them out, by the way.
Yeah, that's Eric.
You can totally shout them out.
Eric Thomas and Rival is, he's my guy. And we've been together.
And the site looks so good, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. And listen, that came from my experience working at Contractor Commerce and seeing lots of different people's websites and then kind of envisioning what I liked about each one of them. And Eric was able to translate that vision into what he created. And so it's just continued to produce for us. I would say, too, the other part is that we have always been very guerrilla marketing, grassroots, giving back to neighborhoods, participating in neighborhood events. If you can own your backyard to begin with, it's much easier to grow. And we focused at the beginning on a very small area. Charleston is a decent sized city. But we knew we couldn't take care of everybody because we only had 1 or 2 or 3 technicians. So we didn't serve all of Charleston. We only served within a 10-mile radius to begin with. And we got really good at taking care of those people and putting our tent up at their, neighborhood festival and meeting people and handing out swag. And as that has progressed, we still do it. We have a place here that, is a big concert venue, and we sponsor all of the pre-parties for the concerts. New Kids on the Block tomorrow night, and Sam Hunt's on Friday. We'll have our tent out at those events, and we've been advertising on the radio. And so when you hear us on the radio and go to that event, there's Stephanie and David, and you get to meet us, and, then why wouldn't you do business with us? So, and I will say I've spent hours and hours in Facebook neighborhood groups. So that's
good stuff.
Yes.
You got a great set of high leverage activities there, and I'm proud of you because it's obviously working. I see on the back end too, just of the site, like you have a lot of searches every month for your brand, and that goes to how much people are, they know you. That's all these other things. I think sometimes people think like search marketing is great. And the SEO that I'm seeing, the website I'm seeing, it's incredible. Like shout out to Rival. The companies that do the best diversify, right? You've got 5 things you're doing that are big, high leverage activities you're doing. It increases the brand. Brand is like the brand and SEO are both really good. They're both really good, but brand brand isn't just the fancy logo and the beautiful colors.
No.
It's how much people know your name or they've seen it out there in the community and the fact that they're searching it. So like they feed each other because Google loves brands. Google loves companies that it knows who it is and where they're at and what it is, because then it can confidently serve their content and you have location landing pages as well. So you have like, let's say Daniel Island, or you've got different location pages, and every HVAC contractor should have a location page for all the locations that they serve. So just good on you for all the different things you guys are doing. Really cool stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I will say, which Eric always tells everybody this. So I'm not a PPCer at all. Last year I spent $7,000 on PPC. That's it. And I only did it because I was drinking Kool-Aid, and one weekend I thought, it's really hot, I need to do that, and I will never do it again. I've spent $0 on PPC this year. Nothing. Of course we're Google guaranteed, so we've gotten a decent amount of leads from LSA. They're not all my favorite, but we're in that. You got to be everywhere, like you said. You got to diversify.
Yeah.
And so we do that. The largest, and people always gasp, my largest spend is radio, and it just works for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have a local DJ that endorses us. We made him a customer, so he speaks from experience. And then again, it's all these events that the radio does that they tag our name in. And so we get these mentions, before a concert, the 2 weeks before, I'll get 200 mentions, 250 mentions, right? And then I follow it up with being there, right? So it's knowing how to leverage marketing for what you want to use it for. I tell people this same story. We do some print. We're in some magazines. I actually was very excited. I got to be with some other women business owners on the cover of one of the magazines. And what people don't
Charleston
know,
Women
magazine.
Was that the one?
It was.
I'm just looking at your backlinks.
Yeah.
Because you got very good backlinks from these mentions too. Like I think I always say this whenever we talk about this stuff, ask for the link.
Absolutely.
Stephanie got the link here. And every time you're doing PR or anything that's kind of like this, try to get them to link to your website. Absolutely. And what I'm seeing there is that's helping SEO a lot as well, which is awesome.
Absolutely. The other thing too, to your point, is that, what comes along with those print advertisements, because I advertise every month, is that they are writing 2 articles a year about us, right? Whether it's about me and Charleston Women, or we're also in Mount Pleasant Magazine. It's a sister magazine. They wrote about Anchor as a whole. Well, that's on a digital version that now Google has a link to that. And then now I have authority in my area of expertise. And so I'm not in that magazine because we have a beautiful ad and because I'm hoping that those people pick that magazine up. I'm in there because now it's online, and now Google sees me and David as authorities in heating and air in Charleston, South Carolina. And there's an aspect of that Google likes, right? So it's leveraging the pieces to serve you. It's not because I like, seeing myself in an article in, a magazine. That's nice, right? But what I want is people to know Anchor Heating and Air so that they go look for that, not AC repair near me. And so they're going to get me immediately, and I'm not having to, be out there with competition. There is no competition for Anchor Heating and Air in Charleston, South Carolina. It's just me. So.
I like that. So many good things I like to talk about a lot. You guys aren't just sitting back waiting for your marketing agency to do it all for you. You guys are hustling. You guys are trying. That's what works.
Yeah.
That's what works. Like you guys have, from what I can tell, one of the best HVAC marketing companies out there on your account. But if you're hustling too, people go further faster because there's certain things we can't do, or like outside companies can't do for you. So to see that level of hustle and to see all the different ways that brand plays out and that people find out about companies and like the attention, right? You're looking at where's the attention? It's at these events. It's at this, maybe on some of those magazines. It's on their websites. and it's local and it's relevant and it's just getting your name in front of them more often. It's beautiful. You touched a little bit on Contractor Commerce and that you had worked there. I thought I'd just, as like an aside here, just do a little like, what is your take on that? And I know that you have friends there, but as impartial as you can possibly be, like for somebody who's considering it, what should they do if they want to do a little bit more commerce on their website? Is this something that they should test, or do you go all in, or what is the
Absolutely.
strategy?
Well, if you ask Tall Paul Redmond, he would tell you that I'm one of the most impartial people that there are, because my job there was to come in and coach contractors on how to use Contractor Commerce in their business. And my perspective was, I am a contractor, and I was at that time. And so I could help them see the pain points for what Contractor Commerce was bringing and was taking from a contractor's business. I also got to be involved in the integration with service tithing, which was awesome. But what I would say is that I think it's important to not just look at Contractor Commerce just for the filter side, which I think is great, but it is a change in behavior to be able to get people to buy filters somewhere else other than where they're used to buying them from. It's a great resource. It's a great way. If you're including filters on your maintenance, get rid of that and let them go buy them. They can get them for cheaper on your website. They can get them delivered in 2 days. It's amazing. I would say that's where the filter side can help. If you're bogged down and your technicians carrying filters in their trucks, that's horribly inefficient. But the other side is the maintenance agreement side, being able to sell to our customers when they're wanting to buy. I love that. I mean, I'll wake up some mornings and we sold 3 service contracts overnight. And now we call that homeowner and get them set up for their service contract. I always love a service contract that gets sold in the summer when somebody calls and says, I need maintenance. You always need more than maintenance when you're calling for maintenance in the summer. So I'm happy to sell a service contract then. But the other side is the online quoting. And, do I love putting all my business out there? I try to put that part out of my mind. But you know what I can tell you is that as for as many as we have sold from people who got a quote online, we have not run quotes for some people that got a quote online. And I count that as a win, to be honest. Because if you went online and you saw my pricing and then you didn't answer my call when I followed up to schedule you for a visit, then that most likely means that you're not my customer. And so in a small company, I would say that's a huge time saving, right? Because efficiency wise, you can't get to everyone, and you really want to get to the people that are in your target demographic. And so some of online quoting helps you figure out who that is, right? We call everybody who gets a quote on our website. Now, I really feel like there probably are some of my competitors that have gone and gotten quotes on my website. I don't care. I hope that you raise your prices to what you think I'm charging, right? It should help you. If you're cheaper, you should be a little bit cheaper than me, not $3,000 cheaper than me, right? So I hope it raises that level of what everybody's out there, because the market should have a market average. It shouldn't have really, really expensive and really, really cheap for the same piece of equipment. And I think that's where we've hurt ourselves as an industry. So if that's what they're doing, I'm okay with that. But the other side of it, I think, is sometimes people, they don't know. When we look at our industry and how prices have changed over the last 4 years, it's incredible, right? I mean, and besides the fact that you don't buy air conditioners that much, right? Like, how many will you buy in your life? Maybe 2, maybe 3, if that. And so, and listen, we're not out there running commercials about buy our air conditioner for $39.95. So you're not normalized in seeing the price on a regular basis so that you realize that it's going up.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other part, is that people need to kind of know, listen, if you bought an air conditioner even 5 years ago, it's doubled from what you bought 5 years ago. And that's the
I do need to apologize. I did submit a quote request on your, so if you can disregard Tim Brown.
Okay.
I'm just curious how it works. That's cool that you can do it on like quote through Contractor Commerce. I just thought it was the like listing thing, so I was just kind of going through that process. That's cool. I also love that you have the little review widget down on your website. What is that? Or that service? It's a very cool one. I think that's the social proof thing, right?
So
I
that's
think
a really
that's
great part.
important. Reviews.
For sure. Reviews are huge for us. We are almost to 600 in just over 2 years. So we're still
Wow.
at a 5.0 for all of our reviews, and people write paragraphs, which I love. My technicians are awesome about asking for them. I also have an app called Q's. If you've never heard of Q's, it is amazing. It is automated. Chase Bell does a great job with that. And we're able to incentivize our technicians. So as soon as that review comes in, if it has their name in it, they automatically get $10 in their Q's account immediately. They don't have to wait. They don't have to wait for me to remember. It's all automated. So that's been really, really great. And then it also sends them money on their work anniversary and on their birthday. And then if I want to send them something for something else, I can, or their service manager can. So that's been a really great app that we've used, for some incentive.
Love that.
So yeah, I mean,
I've got a little like segment that I'd love to do. It's called Hot Takes and Cold Trends. What's something that you think might be controversial in the industry, but that you believe wholeheartedly, is the first question. That's a hot take.
Well, that's a hard one. Something that's controversial.
You kind of did PPC. You've had a couple hot takes already.
Right? I mean,
PPC.
That's probably a big one for me, because I think that, no matter my size, I'm never going to be able to beat the big guys in town on the PPC game. I never am. And so I can't spend my way to the top. But I can work my way to the top with my great branding, with my storytelling. I didn't talk about our TikTok. We got an amazing TikTok. I've hired 2 technicians off of TikTok because we are showing.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, because it shows who we are as a company. I tell everybody, I think the biggest difficulty in moving jobs in our industry is that it looks really good on the outside, and you go and you have a great interview, but then you get there and you're like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Well, that's not true with us. I mean, you can go on TikTok and what you see is what you get, right? You get me on there, you get David on there, you get our people on there. And so, in fact, the last technician that we hired from TikTok, it was so funny. He actually, we had a position, and he applied. He asked some people in the industry, and he actually put his resume on one of the Facebook groups, one of our, not local, one of our industry Facebook groups. And then everybody tagged me because we're in Charleston, and he was looking for a position in Charleston. So I called him and brought him in for an interview. And on the interview, I said, listen, I just want you to know we're on social media a lot. Are you comfortable with being on social media and, us videoing and all that stuff? He said, actually, you'd know me better as Charleston HVAC on TikTok. I said, oh my gosh. We had David and I had done a live for the first time ever on TikTok about 3 or 4 weeks before that. He had talked to us on the live, and I had no idea that's who he was. And I said, well, what else can I tell you about working at Anchor? And he said, I already know everything I want to know. When do I start? And that's how quick it was. And so
That's awesome.
like that's the value of, having social media, right? It's certainly the funny memes and all that kind of stuff. I see a lot of that right now, and I believe that's a part of that is good. But there's also a really huge part of you being an owner or a manager, putting yourself out there so that people can see who you are and they know either who they're going to work for or who they're doing business with.
Amazing. I agree 100%. What about cold trends? What's something people might be wasting time, money, energy, or effort on that they should stop?
Oh, I got a good one for you on this. If you are not on BlueOn, you are missing the bus. So you have got to this. The app is amazing. It of course started out as just being able to get some good parts information and all of that. With Master Mechanic, it is the Chat GPT of the HVAC industry. You can go on there, you can ask it a question, I think specifically for lesser experienced technicians. It is by far the best thing to have, but also it's a great app. David uses it a lot. Sometimes you get stumped. Sometimes you've done everything you know for 20 years and you still can't figure it out. And you can ask BlueOn, and if nothing else, it gives you a few more things to check. And a lot of times it gives you the answer. I'll tell you about one thing that happened pretty recently. We had a couple of our installers on a job, and we were putting in the new Goodman side discharge system, which, by the way, we also love. So that's a cool take as well. But the home did not have Wi-Fi. And as much as I love our salespeople and I give them a lot of crap, who would have thought to ask that if you have Wi-Fi at your house? But they didn't. And you need Wi-Fi in order to be able, or we thought, in order to be able to program the Goodman thermostat. So Friday afternoon, 4:00, everybody's like, oh my God, we can't get this thermostat hooked up, so we can't start the unit up. So they called us. I called Logan Marshall at BlueOn. We told him, call BlueOn. And in the same 10 minutes later, after he had spent 2 hours trying to get this thing hooked up, they sent a video, and 10 minutes later, it was hooked to the system was started up. And literally our technician sent us a text message that said, what is this, the dark web of HVAC? Where did you get this information? He was like, I Googled it. I looked everywhere. I could not find anything. And BlueOn had the answer. And not only was that great, but 2 days later, that was a Friday. So 4 days later, business days, the next Tuesday, Haley calls. She's putting a system in. She said, good thing we got that video last Friday because I just had to hook this system up again and it didn't take me any time at all. So the efficiency that is gained by
awesome.
One app
Love to hear it. Like
amazing. It's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, I appreciate you sharing your journey. I mean, you guys started with $2,000 and now you're on the path this year to 7 million, it sounds like, and that's like enormous. It's kind of the American dream, if you ask me.
It is. We are absolutely living.
Would you mind sharing where people could check you out?
Absolutely, yes. So obviously our website,
where's the? Yeah.
Sorry, there's a delay.
No, we got a little lag going back and forth. If anyone has been like, "Hey, why are they talking over each other a little bit?" We've got a little lag, so sorry about that.
Yeah, so definitely you can find me on Facebook. I'm definitely active in lots of our industry groups, Stephanie Postell. And then our website, anchorheatingandair.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Definitely we want you to follow us on TikTok. And anytime, reach out. I'm happy to help, happy to give some feedback, some of my experience. But like I said, if I talk to you about it, you got to do it, because the one thing that people don't do is implement. And if you get all this information and you sit on it, shame on you. You have to put this stuff into practice and it will change your business for sure.
Stephanie, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being on.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
The podcast is put on by hookagency.com. Hook Agency all over social media. Thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Bye.